Strange rode through a land where time did not flow like water, but stood still. This was the kingdom of the Raven King, not gone, but sleeping beneath the world. Ruins rose from mist, towers of black stone, carved with ravens in flight. They remembered his name, though no man had spoken it in centuries. He found an ancient throne beneath a broken arch, overgrown with ivy. Upon it sat a crown of iron and feathers, cold to the touch. A voice echoed, not in words, but in memory. I gave magic to the people. Strange fell to his knees. He was not the first magician to return here. He placed the crown upon his head, not as king, but as student. The land breathed again. Magic stirred in the stones. In England, Norrell woke screaming, his books aflame with no fire. Pages burned with names he had tried to erase. John Usglass, Stephen Black. In London, felt a pull in his chest, as if called home. But his body remained, bound to the gentleman's will. Strange whispered into the dark, "Teach me how to bring her back." Silence. Then, only one who loses everything can enter fairy. Among the ruins, Strange found a chest sealed with raven's wax. Inside lay letters, written in Old Northumbrian, inked in crow's blood. They were from the Raven King, not spells, but orders, decrees, love notes. Even kings, it seemed, wrote to their queens. One letter spoke of a door between worlds, guarded by sorrow. To open it, he wrote, "You must give what you love most." Another told of a servant who ruled more than any lord. "The fairies fear not power," it said, "but truth." Strange copied the passages into his notebook, handwriting trembling. These were not just records, they were keys. He read aloud a passage about mirrors, and one the ruin lit silver. For a moment, he saw Arabella, asleep, unharmed. He reached out. The glass turned to ice. A voice behind him said, "She is mine, and you are trespassing." He turned, but no one was there. Only a single black feather drifting to the ground. The Duke returned to London, this time seeking answers, not miracles. Strange had vanished. Magic was failing. War was ending. Norrell greeted him with tea and silence. His hand shook. His eyes avoided mirrors. Wellington demanded to know why magic had abandoned the army. Norrell could not say, only that it had never been reliable. "You promised control," Wellington said. "You promised order." "I believed it possible," Norrell whispered. "I was wrong." The Duke left in disgust, muttering that magicians were worse than useless. England would win the war, but not by magic. Alone, Norrell opened a forbidden book, Liber Umbrarum. It promised power, at a price. He began a spell to speak with the dead, to ask the Raven King for help. The candles turned blue, the walls wept. A shadow formed, tall, crowned, speaking in birdsong. Norrell screamed and broke the circle. Too late, the king knew he was afraid. Strange returned to England, not in triumph, but in fury. He had learned the truth. Norrell had known about the bargain all along. He stormed into Norrell's house, rain at his heels, wind in his coat. "You let them take her," he said, "and you did nothing." Norrell stood pale, not denying it. "I saved Lady Pole," he said. "I cannot save everyone." Strange raised his hand, and the floor cracked beneath Norrell's feet. Books flew from shelves. Chandeliers swung like pendulums. Norrell countered, summoning shadows that wrapped around Strange like chains. But Strange broke them with a word in Old Northumbrian. "You hoarded magic," Strange cried. "You feared it instead of using it, and you would destroy us all with recklessness." Norrell shouted back. The house trembled, walls splitting, doors flying open. Magic fought magic, not for knowledge, but for justice. At last, Strange stepped back. "This ends now. I go to Fairy, alone." And he walked out into the storm. Strange followed a path only the lost could see, paved with frost and silence. It led to Lost Hope, the gateway city of Fairy. Trees bowed as he passed. Ravens circled above. The land recognized him, not as invader, but as heir. He carried three things: a sword, a book, and a lock of Arabella's hair. All he had left of her. The road twisted, sometimes forward, sometimes backward. Time bent like paper. He walked for days, or hours. A beggar appeared, Vinculus, barefoot, wild-eyed. "You're late," he said. "The king has been waiting." Vinculus gave him a map drawn on skin, showing the palace of the gentleman. "One rule," he said, "do not accept wine." Strange asked how to defeat the Fairy King. Vinculus smiled, asked him why he fears the Raven King. Then he vanished, leaving only footprints in the snow. Strange pressed on toward the glass pavilion. In the heart of Fairy, the gentleman held court, elegant, smiling, eternal. Lady Pole danced. Stephen Black stood beside the throne. The princess of fairy, once human, long ago, watched from a balcony. She remembered being stolen. She remembered forgetting. She whispered to Stephen, "You were not born to serve. You were taken." He looked at her and for a moment remembered himself. The gentleman noticed and silenced her with a glance. Her mouth closed. Her eyes went blank. He turned to Arabella, pale, silent, dressed in silver. "You are almost ready," he said. "Soon, you will forget him." She tried to speak, but only a sigh came out. Her wedding ring glowed faintly, the last trace of England. Outside, the wind changed. The ravens grew quiet. The road had opened. Someone was coming. The gentleman smiled, not in fear, but in anticipation. "Let him come," he said. "I have waited so long." Strange entered the city of lost hope, unseen, unheard. Fairies do not notice those who do not fear them. He saw men wandering, lords, scholars, soldiers, all tricked into service. Some wore fine clothes, all wore hollow eyes. One approached, a knight in rusted armor. "I came to rescue my love," he said. "Now I cannot remember her name." Another sat carving wood, making tiny coffins, row after row. "She sleeps," he muttered. "I build her a home." Strange realized the gentleman did not kill, he erased. Memory, love, identity, all slowly stolen. He found a mirror, cracked, ancient. When he looked, he saw not himself, but Arabella reaching. He touched the glass. It warmed. A whisper, "Jonathan." Then the mirror shattered by command, not force. The gentleman stood behind him. "You should not have come." Strange stood before the castle of Perdita, built of smoke and thorns. No doors, no windows, only one path in, through sorrow. He thought of Arabella, her laugh, her warmth, her absence. Tears fell. The gate opened. Inside, the hall shifted, rooms appearing and vanishing. Paintings showed futures that never were. He found a nursery, untouched, filled with toys for a child never born. On the wall, a portrait, Arabella and Jonathan, happy together. He touched it, and the image faded. "What you seek is not here," said a voice. "It is beyond." He climbed a spiral staircase that led nowhere and everywhere. At the top, a door of glass and bone. Behind it, Arabella sat, awake, aware, trapped. She mouthed, "Don't trust him." Before he could reach her, the gentleman appeared, smiling, calm. "This is my world," he said, "and you are guests.